Welcome to this data cleaning session. My name is Dada. Data cleaning is a critical step to data analysis. Before you go ahead and transform data and analyze data, you have to ensure that the data before you is properly collected and cleaned. Data cleaning ensures that you can appropriately analyze your data and get the insights and derive the insights you're looking for. So it is a very important step. If you miss out on cleaning your data appropriately, you get wrong insight derived or analysis will be done poorly. So let's take a look at this data set we have before us. I want us to take a critical look at the values we have here. If we look at these values carefully, you realize that the E column, which is labeled the January column, you realize that you have the values already formatted to currency, okay? And they are formatted to the left, to the right, I beg your pardon, to the right. But you come to the other ways, you realize that they are formatted to the left. The reason being that although you look at these, they have the currency format, but these values here are actually text values. And how we'll find out the real data types is when we go into Power Query. So we'll be launching the Power Query editor to actually clean this data, to remove the parentheses, the brackets we have here. We have open and close brackets. We have the $sign here, which is not actually a currency in this data set here. It's just, will I say, it was just corrupted. Okay. So what will happen now is that we are going to load this into our Power Query editor. And how we can do that is to go to our data tab, ribbon, then you go to the get and transform data. You will see from table and range. Mind you, we have different ways from which we can get data into our Power Query editor. In subsequent tutorials, we'll be looking at that. But for now, for these, we'll be using from table or range. This is because we want to actually continue working with this workbook. So when we want to load these into the Power Query editor, edit it, clean the data, and load it back into this workbook. So we go ahead and click from table or range. Because our data set was already in a table, it loaded directly to the Power Query editor. However, if it's not, it will first convert to a table and then automatically then open your Power Query editor. Okay, so I guess we would like to see that. Okay, so let us close our Power Query editor in case yours is not that way. Close our Power Query editor and start again. So let me just convert this into a range, remove it from a table and convert it into a range. So what how we'll do that is you click anywhere in your table, assuming you have a table already, and then you go to your table design, then you say convert to range under two, convert to range. Yes, we want to convert to normal range. So our table is no longer a table, but in normal range. So this is where most of you will begin from. Okay, so we want to now get this data, our data set into Power Query editor, edit it, and load it back into this workbook. So how we do that is to go to our data tab, then from table and range, we'll click this. So because you need it to be on a table in a tabular form before it's loaded to the Power Query editor, Microsoft Excel first converts your range into a table, then automatically loads the Power Query editor. So this information box opens to confirm if your table range is selected properly. So you have to make sure that your range is selected properly. That is all your data set is being accounted for. Secondly, you must check my table has headers. Check it. If not, if you don't check it, rather than coming with the headers accounts on A, business units on B, and year on C, and so on and so forth, it should be column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on. And we don't want that. So once this is done, you go ahead and click OK. So it converts the table, then loads the Power Query editor. Now, although we have other tutorials on Power Query, but I would like to remind you that Power Query automates the process, your data cleaning process, and you can see them on the under the applied steps. Okay. So I want us to take a look at our data set again, and you realize that yes, this is actually formatted properly, and has been cleaned. But if you look at other areas, say from February, March, and so on, you realize that there are text. Okay, so let us now confirm that these data types are actually what we say they are. For instance, on January, the January tab, you see that, let's go to transform tab, and we go to the data type. The data type, you see that is whole number, right? But when you go to February, you see it's text. You go to March, you see it's text, and so on. So these are all text and not numbers. Okay. So first of all, to make sure we can easily just convert them into the number data type, what we can do is to make sure we remove every element that force these values, these numbers, to be text. And these elements are these open and close brackets and these first dollar signs we have here. So before we go ahead, we'll make sure that we highlight the areas we want to address. So to do that, you click on the first column you want to address, you hold your shift button on your keyboard down, you scroll to the last area, which we have here is December, right? You click on December. You see that everything within that range will be highlighted. So once that is done, we are going to use the find and replace, the basic find and replace function to actually remove all of the items we don't want. But here in the Power Query editor, to access that, you go to your transform tab, then under any column group, you see replace values. Okay. So under replace values, you can actually replace errors as well. So that is why you have the drop down on replace values. So we'll click on replace values. So now, what is the value we want to find and replace? We want to find the open bracket. Okay. We want to find the open bracket, but we are replacing it with nothing, right? So we'll leave the replace with area empty. Okay, so then we go ahead and click OK. You realize that it's gone, right? So the next thing we need to take out is the close bracket, right? So we go ahead and say replace values. What are we looking for to be replaced? We are looking for the close bracket. We leave the replace with blank, and we go ahead and click OK. If you notice, it's gone again. We do it the third time. We go to replace values, and now we want to take out the dollar sign. You see, find what? We want to find the dollar sign and replace with what? We want to replace with nothing. So we now say OK. So now we have taken out all of them, but the data type still remains text. Okay, it still remains text. So we would like to now, because we have taken all the elements that force this to be text, we want to now convert this data type to, let's say, whole number. When we do, you realize the shift. It shifted from the left side of the column to the right side of the column. Congratulations, we have been able to clean this data set. Okay, so now that we are done, we can load our data set back to our workbook and continue our analysis. All right. And what I told us about a kind of recording of the steps, you find the one that applies step. We picked it, we changed the data type, we replace we replace the values first and the second time. Basically, we replace values 3 times. Then we now change our data type. Okay. You see all of these steps have been recorded. That is why the recording makes it easy for you to do an automated process. That is to say, if you are to clean your data, you don't have to go through this process again. If peradventure you had to add data into your source, which is the spreadsheet from which the sheet from which we loaded the all you just need to do is to click refresh on that sheet. I'll show you how in other tutorials. Okay, so let's go ahead and load this. There are two ways you can load this back. You click on home and you say close and load, or you click on file and you click on close and load. So it loads back into workbook. So you look at this now, it is now cleaned and properly formatted. Okay, so we can now just go ahead and add currency to values. So we can just highlight the areas we want to format, go to home, we go to this icon to get more number formats, and we click on currency. Then I want to use the Naira currency. I'll scroll down to find the Naira sign. I'm going to pick equal and say okay. You see, easy. It's been cleaned, and now we can continue with our analysis. Congratulations. On to the next tutorial. See you next time.